Hello, I'm Michelle Burden, along with Renee Rollins and Lisa Burkhart-Worley, and we are glad you've joined us on Pop Talk, the show where you never know what topics might pop up. We here at Pearls of Promise Ministries care about the generations after us, and we want to leave the world a better place than when we entered it. So if you feel this way as well, you're really going to love today's show. Lisa has the introduction of our guest.
Yes, I feel younger already, just because we've got a Gen Zer on the set with us. We met our guest, Blake Whitmer, as well as his brother Jordan, a few months ago, and love what they're doing to reach the Gen Z population for Christ. Their outreach is called the How to Life Movement. It is a Gen Z initiative that reaches and disciples and mobilizes Gen Zs for Christ. Now, in case you're wondering what the age range of Gen Z is, especially if you're a little further down the road, it includes anyone born between 1997 and 2012. Those who range from 12 years old to 26 qualified. So those are the young people that Jordan and Blake are trying to reach, as well as their dad who just joined their team. And I'm pretty sure that since you just graduated from college, Blake, that you are a Gen Z person yourself, so it's appropriate. And I think your brother Jordan just qualifies. I think he's 25 or something. Is he 26 yet?
He's the very edge.
He's the very edge. He's like kind of like my son. My son is 27, so I guess he's technically a millennial, but he seems like a Gen Zer. But you know what you guys have started is just incredible. We went to a brunch with you all and heard about it, and we just thought then, let's get them on the TV show. And I think our audience is a little older, but I think they need to know about what you're doing, and maybe they can help you. How would you describe your age group overall, Blake? What are some of the struggles that you guys face? Yeah,
so Gen Z faces many struggles, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, but these are all symptoms. They're not the underlying cause. The underlying cause is that young people don't have the gospel. Gen Z has a 4% biblical worldview, according to a Barna study, and we think that this is not good. We need to fix this, share the gospel with the next generation.
Right.
And many of the other problems that Gen Z are facing will be solved if Gen Z comes to know their true purpose. And that's what we at How to Life are working on doing.
Yeah, Michelle and I did some research, or just did some studying about these Gen Zers and older populations, millennials and stuff. And a lot of the Gen Zers are checking none when it comes to religion. Remember that?
Universalism, or
yes.
They want all religions to be equal, and there's not really a differentiation, it seems like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's so exciting. I can't wait to hear your story. And I was talking with you before the set, and you said that you are the development coordinator, right? And so you're in charge of donations and the actual how-to movement. Your brother, though, Jordan, is the CEO and founder. So you guys partner on both sides of that, which is awesome.
And Jordan's in Chicago, and you just moved to Dallas. So welcome to Big D, Blake.
Good to be here.
How did it all get started? Yeah, talk to us.
So it started 9 years ago now. My brother was a junior in high school.
Wow.
And God put on his heart that he needed to reach our hometown, our local community, our Jerusalem for the gospel. And my brother, he said, we need to do something. So he got together with his friends, with other local Christians in our area, and he said, guys, let's put on an event. Let's put on a Billy Graham style crusade, except we're the ones on stage. We are sharing the gospel with our peers. And then he got around and he got together with the local churches, the local youth groups. He said, hey, this night we all have an event. All your youth groups, let's meet at the exact same spot. And then he started inviting all the people at our schools, and he said, hey, come to How to Life at the Pioneer Pavilion. And then ultimately, this turned into an event, and 700 people came.
Wow.
Out of our hometown population of about 10, 12,000. So It was a wonderful night. A lot of people came forward. And then what happened is that the year after that, people wanted another How to Life event. So we put on another event in our hometown, and people from the towns north and west of us, they were there, and they said, we want this in our towns. So suddenly, it's year 2, 2 states, 3 towns, 4 events total, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing from there. Until last year, we had 30 events. And
that's a lot.
We've had events in 29 states, 12 different countries.
That's a lot of events to put on. We struggle. We do 1 event per year for Pearls of Promise, and that is hard, so I can't imagine 30 events.
Oh, yeah. So you stage events around the world, like you said. But before we talk about those, you also develop leaders like you and your brother. How do you find these young Christian leaders, and how do you train them?
Yeah, wonderful question. So we find young people mainly through social media. We have an Instagram page. How to Life Movement, and young people see the content we make. They see the events that are going on. They say, hey, I want to be a part of this. They message us. Then we check them to make sure that they're quality, and then we begin training them. So training, we do a lot. We give a written content that they can read. We have videos. We do a lot of one-on-one calls. We do a lot of group Zoom video calls. One of the biggest things we do, though, is an annual leadership retreat. So we get a location. Last one was in Chicago, and we get leaders from all across the U.S. and all across the other 11 countries that we're in. And we all have leaders in one spot. This is a wonderful way, not just to mass teach, to teach all of our leaders all at once, but it's also a way for these leaders to pour into each other, to have peer-to-peer mentorship, saying, hey, when I had my event, this is what I did. And this is a way that it just massively encourages these young people, especially in areas where there aren't many other Christians, where we have a lot of people that say, I thought I was the only Christian Gen Z in the entire world, because I was the only Christian Gen Z in my school. Then I went to one of these leadership retreats, and I saw 30 other people just like me that were passionate about reaching their generation. And so, yeah, we provide retreats and content and mentorship, and it all works.
I love this, Blake, and I know people are very interested in what you guys do in addition to what you've already said, and they have a promotional video. So we want to show you through this video some of the exciting things that they're doing with the How to Life movement.
Gen Z needs Christ, and the need for Jesus in this generation is huge.
The young people of our world need Christ. We have a solution.
God is at work. Young people around the world are working hard to share Jesus with the youth in their cities.
These are called How to Life events.
Jesus says, make disciples, proclaim the gospel, and be Christ's witnesses. This global movement empowers believers in our generation to reach our generation.
Jesus is the hope for Gen Z.
Jesus is the hope for Gen Z.
Jesus is the hope for Gen Z. Events are currently being planned in the USA,
Canada,
Latin America, UK,
Europe, South Africa,
and Asia.
Our prayer is that we'll be able to share Christ with thousands of our peers in nations around the world.
My vision for Gen Z is that they would redirect their passion towards Jesus.
So I can bring a revival into my community.
I am so excited for How to Life
because there's so much freedom that is found behind just knowing our Creator.
So much children today in our generation is heartbroken.
I know how this generation is so thirsty for more.
Finding Christ is the greatest thing that anyone can find.
My vision for Gen Z is that they not only know who Jesus is, but
knowing and loving Jesus in their lives.
My vision for Gen Z is encouraging kids to take their faith seriously from a younger age.
My vision for Generation Z is revival.
I am excited about How to Life because I am passionate about reaching both my community and my friends with the gospel.
Jesus is the hope for Nottingham, England.
I 100% believe that Jesus is the hope.
Jesus is the hope.
Jesus is the hope.
Because Jesus is the only hope for them.
For the Czech Republic.
For the 757 Virginia Beach area.
For Garnett, Kansas. Of New York City.
For Liverpool.
I'm from Cincinnati, and I know Jesus is the hope for our city. For Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Jesus is the hope for Brownsburg, Indiana.
for Patterson, New Jersey.
Jesus is the hope for Singapore. Help us reach our generation.
So how can you help? How can you join this movement? First, get involved. Don't just be an spectator, but participate. Get to know people around your area.
Whatever your gifts are, if you have a heart for this generation, we want to invite you to come and help plan these events.
The second is prayer. Prayer is vital for any move of God. So we want you to join us in praying over what God is doing in How to Life all over the world.
Thirdly, no matter what generation you're in, we want to invite you to support How to Life financially. How to Life leaders all around the world need this support. I want to challenge us as Gen Z to give to missions.
My vision for Gen Z all around the world is that they will get to have a real relationship with Jesus.
My vision for Gen Z all over the world would be to see people, every nation, tribe, and tongue coming to know the Lord.
Hi, my name is Jordan Whitmer, and I am the founder and CEO of the How to Life Global Youth Movement. It is so amazing what God is doing through young people in nations all over the world, where there's students, leaders who are stepping up saying, I want to see my friends and my generation reached for Christ. Would you join us? Would you be a part of this effort to reach the nations of the world? God is on the move. Thank you so much. Jesus is the hope for our generation.
So what an incredible video, what an incredible just a display of what you guys do, and so many great leaders that are young leaders that are part of your group. So to date, you've held How to Life events in 29 states and 10 countries. 27,000 students have attended. I've got a chill when I say that, wow. Blake. And you know, I said earlier, our ministry puts on like one conference a year. I can't even imagine doing that many events. You must have a great team. So can you talk about what goes into the planning of these events, and then talk about how the How to Life events are structured?
Yeah, so there's one requirement. You have to have a gospel presentation. That is non-negotiable. That is the entire point of the event. Mm-hmm. Everything else, we leave a lot to the students. We provide suggestions, no requirements. And so there's oftentimes worship. Sometimes we have skits. We have a lot of people sharing their own personal testimonies. We like to call them hope stories. What is your story with Jesus? What difference has Jesus made in your life? And so the planning is, so I lied. We do have another requirement. We require that they partner with at least 2 local churches, ideally all the local churches in their area, and they get together, they build a team, they diversify. This person leads worship, this person leads the testimonies, and they plan things out. They rehearse a couple times, then they invite all their friends, and it's game time.
Wow. That is amazing, isn't it?
Man,
it's a lot of flexibility.
Yes.
I know.
It's cool though.
I know. You guys don't come saying, hey, boom, boom, boom. But the one thing you're doing that I love, and I felt like the Lord just said this, that the gospel is going forth. The gospel is going out, and the word of God's not going to return void, and I know the Lord is using him.
Yeah, and the other thing I see is that you're empowering young people, and you're empowering other leaders. You're telling them, you can do this, you can lead, and you're giving them that self-esteem and that confidence that maybe they didn't have going into this.
Yeah, let's talk about the objectives. I know that you guys have objectives in place. We've talked a little bit about that. How do you accomplish that when you're at the events, and then what are your goals moving forward?
Yeah, so How to Life has 3 main goals. We want to reach, disciple, and mobilize Gen Z. All 3 of those. So the first of these, we want to reach the lost. We are passionate about evangelism.
Amen.
We want to see revival in Gen Z. The second of these is we want to disciple young people. And this is what ultimately convinced me that I should go and I should work alongside my brother, is that I saw that these events were not just pouring into sharing the gospel with the next generation, they were training and equipping the next generation.
Yes.
I know we have a lot of stories of people that they were on the leadership team for How to Life, and this completely changed their career and their life trajectory. I know I had one kid in my class named Russell, and he sat across from me in AP chemistry. He said, before How to Life, he was lost, he was depressed, he was hopeless. He came to How to Life that first year and he gave his life to Christ. The second year, he was on the leadership team and he helped put on the event. Now he's working full-time in college ministry and he hopes to be a missionary to unreached people groups. And we see that story all over the place. How to Life is not just reaching young people, but it's empowering young people. It's young people, we have so much that's pouring into us, but we don't get many chances to pay it back, to pour into others, to pour into our peers. And that's what we provide young people, the opportunity to cultivate young leaders.
Yes, I think that is just so cool, and it's very much needed today as well, just given the secular views and the world views versus the biblical views. And what you talked about, the 4%, I didn't even know that about the Barna studies, and I try to keep up with Barna as much as possible, but that was just a staggering statistic to me today, so I'm glad that you shared that. These remind me, when I think of this, I think of the old Billy Graham crusades. There was always follow-up after Dr. Graham would come into a town and preach his evangelical events. Do you guys have any follow-up in place for those who attend the How to Life events themselves?
Yeah, so 2 types of follow-up. The first is because we partner with local churches, we always try to, the people that give their lives to Christ, say, hey, you need to find a local church. And so the second thing, though, is that the people in the audience go to school with the people on stage. And this leads to the people that put on the event are going to follow up with their friends because they're going to see their friends the very next day in class. And one story that especially stands out, so the story of Maya, very similar to Russell, where she's in Brooklyn, and 2 years ago, she did not know Christ. She gave her life to Christ at one of the How to Life events, and then she was discipled by the event director, the leader, the person who put on the event. And guess who was the event director next year? Maya.
Maya, of course.
Yeah.
So
pass the baton.
It's this very natural, the people in the audience just know the people on stage and they'll see each other and they have to disciple each other in community. So.
Yeah, that's great. And you know what? I'm going to go off script a little bit because I want to hear your story. I know you come from a Christian family, and I think your father was very involved with an evangelist. You know, you might talk a little bit about that. But how did you develop a heart for the lost? Blake, I want to know about your story and accepting Jesus and when you started being convicted about being this minister to the lost.
Yeah, so my story, it starts pretty typical. I grew up in a ministry family, a Christian family, was raised and discipled in the faith. You are right, my father did work with an evangelist. That evangelist was my grandfather on my mom's side, so Ron Hutchcraft. And I saw the gospel being shared and spread from a very young age. My story is that as time went on, as I got older, as I got smarter, I would go deeper into my faith. I would learn more and more. Some people, they say as they get older and smarter, they leave their faith. For me, it was the exact opposite. Every time I looked deeper, I found that there was something more. There's so many smart Christians throughout history. There's so much Christian history, Christian philosophy, and I just saw that Christianity was beautiful, it was brilliant, it was true, it was good. And so my story is just one of progressive unfolding. The deeper I looked, the more that I saw that Christianity was something that our generation needs.
Wow. I love that. And so you had a heart for it yourself. So you talked about Maya. Do you have any other stories about people who have benefited from the How to Life movement and these events? And also, how many people have come to know the Lord through your events?
Yeah, so I think I have the number right. I believe it's 10,000 people over the past 9 years.
Wow.
And so it's quite a few. Wait, I need to check the math on that.
He went to Dartmouth, by the way, everyone. He's really smart. And so he's literally, the numbers are spinning in his head right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that math about checks out.
There you go.
Sorry, what was the question? The math got me.
No, it's just about how many salvations, and then just do you have any other stories? You told the one about Maya, but we'd love to hear another one if you have it.
Yeah, the stories, I know we have dozens of alumni across Texas. I know you have my story, my brother's story.
Wow.
There are, it's...
But you're seeing a lot of changed lives.
Seeing a lot of changed lives. See, it's tough. I don't want to choose between all my favorites, all my friends. I mean, I have a friend named Luke. He's from England, and he had the story I said earlier, where he thought he was the only Christian in his entire high school. And he knew from a young age he wanted to be an evangelist, that he was going to share the gospel across the world. He had no idea how that would happen. He found How to Life, and now he's a rock star. He's on fire. Wow. And he's traveling across the world sharing the gospel. Woo. I know we have a young woman named Kayla in Canada. She reached out when she was 14 years old. We said, that's a little bit young, maybe wait 2 years. She waited 2 years, she came back, and now she's a rock star, and she's networking the entirety of Canada for the gospel. A young person named Kyle from South Africa, who similarly, he didn't know what was next for him in life, and he was looking for next steps. How to Life came around, and he said, yeah, I care about my people. I want to pour into my people. And so he organized a campaign. This is unique. Usually How to Life events, they're one event. This one turned into a 5-day-long campaign.
Wow.
And we had a lot of just rock stars that we flew in. And if we already paid for the plane ticket, might as well reach 4 or 5 locations. And so
why not?
Good. You know, I was just sitting here thinking as you were talking, I love that you guys invite those 12, 13, 14-year-old people to come, because there's so many times, as you know, with media, with the phone, with the tablet, they're so inward, and they haven't learned the communication skills that they need to even tell somebody, I'm depressed. But they're seeing it continually, aren't they? And so you guys are actually, you have some media and some podcasting that you're doing, right? Tell me what your focus is and how that's reaching the lost and getting the gospel out there. Talk about that.
Yeah, so How to Life, we provide media. We know a lot of people that make far better media than we do. We like to have a lot of influencers speak at our events. It's a really good way to get people in the audience. It's a really good way to get people in person. And so that's one of the things that Gen Z misses a lot, is that we all have social media. We don't quite know how to turn that social media into in-person meetups. And so that's one of the things How to Life really encourages. And so it's this taking a lot of the good stuff that's happening online, the good content online, and turning it into in-person connections.
Yeah, and I love the in-person part because, like Renee said, I think it's very depressing to be on social media all the time and not meeting with people, and I think it's easy to get into that trap. So I think it's great that you really encourage people to meet in person.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And I actually have a Gen Z daughter. So she's 24 and living in New York. And so I do see some of that. I mean, sadly, as a mother, I didn't realize, as I'm so extroverted, that she's very introverted, and the job that she has right now too is very introverted. So I certainly love this and appreciate this. So I am certainly going to talk to her about this and find out ways that she can actually be a part of this, because I think that's just so cool. And I know that Gen Zers all really want to kind of come together. And so I know that Renee and Lisa and I are not Gen Zers, but
what?
I know.
Are you just telling me that today?
We're not Gen Zers. But we know that people can partner with you guys to reach the Gen Z generation. So what are some of those ways that the audience can help to do that for you?
Yeah, well, if you are Gen Z, if you're a young person that's passionate about your faith, our bread and butter, we want people in high school, but we find a lot of times people that are 19 to 22, graduated early, did college online, didn't go to college. They really fit in with that group. Reach out to us on social media, Instagram, How to Life Movement. And if you're young and you want to reach your community, then put on an event. If you're part of the older generation, so we really want to grow How to Life. We think if we can reach 1,000 people with 30 events, then in 1 year, then we can reach 2,000 people with 60 events. And so that's what How to Life is in right now. We're in a growth stage. We want to put rocket boosters on the thing that's working.
Absolutely.
And if it works for 1,000 people, let's have it work for 2,000 people.
Right. And it doesn't matter how big the town is. Somebody might be in a little tiny town. They think, well, our town's not big enough to do something like this. But that's not true, because you were in a smaller, is it a suburb of Chicago that you were in, or where were you exactly when you started?
We started in a small rural town in Arkansas.
Oh, Arkansas, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a big city, right?
Right.
Nope, it just has to be anointed of the Lord. Like, I know that there's going to be people who are going to be watching this, and right now they're thinking, you know what? I want to show my grandchild, my daughter, my sister. How would you encourage those people right now? What is the word that the Lord has given you? God has anointed your ministry so much. And so how would you encourage the people that are walking this walk in this age group?
Yeah, so I would say if you're interested in How to Life and the stuff that I've been talking about, you can go to howtolifemovement.com. That's howtolifemovement.com. And if you're just interested in Gen Z, I would recommend just talk to the next generation. Say, what are you facing right now? Mm-hmm. What struggles are you facing? And you'll see that they need the gospel, and you'll see what the young people need. You'll see where the young people are. And so those are the two solutions I'd give.
Amen. That's powerful, Blake. I'm so excited about what he's doing with this, Lisa, and we're so glad. Thank you for coming and being on Pop Talk today. We are so thrilled to feature your work with Gen Z. We really are. And we just hope that many will watch this show and that they'll understand everything that you're doing and the great mission that God has given you. And if you want to find out more about the How to Life movement, you can go to their website and just put it all together, howtolifemovement.com.
And we would love for you to connect with us here at Pearls of Promise Ministries as well. Our website is pearlsofpromiseministries.com. You can email us at info@pearlsofpromiseministries.com. And you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Pop Talk Media or at Pearls of Promise. And we're on Instagram at Pop_Ministries. We sound like Gen Zers, don't we? And you can find all of our past Pop Talk television shows on our Pearls of Promise Ministries YouTube channel.
Also, thank you to our over 20 Pop Talk television platforms, and we are grateful for our production company, GracePoint Media. For all of your media needs, go to gracepoint.media.
And that is Pop Talk for today. We're just ordinary girls and a guy
who God turned into pearls. Have a great week, everybody.